Today's podcast is all about the quotes that I have been adding to my vision board book workshop. Now, if you've ever been to one of my workshops, you'll know that I am a big fan of putting quotes throughout the pages to make sure I'm totally inspired. And they could be absolutely anything. They come from podcasts or they come from books I'm listening to. They might be a TV program. They might be something someone said in passing that I just think, well, that's really, when it hits a nerve and you just think, I need to remember that for the future. And that is what this is all about. Now, the Post-it notes started, I'll just give you a very brief background. The Post-it notes started when I was working with a coach, and every time she said something that really hit a nerve, I'm trying to think of one that was one of hers. I can't think off the top of my head, but whenever she said something that was really poignant, I would write it down in my notebook. And later on, I would write it on a Post-it note and put it in my vision board book. And when I came to stop coaching with her, I filled a book with all of these quotes written on pretty coloured Post-it notes, and I kind of presented them to her. And I just thought it was a really nice way of giving her something that was more kind of personal and meaningful than some flowers or a gift that I could buy from a shop. I wanted to give her something really kind of to show the impact she had on my life, because she had a really big impact on my life. She really helped me get through the hurdles of building a business when I had no experience whatsoever. And what I did after finishing coaching with her is every time someone would say something from these podcasts or from these books, I would pop them into my notes app on my phone. And as I'm walking on the dog walk, which is when normally they come up, I would write them in, but I would voice write them in. So I would text them into my phone, and sometimes they made absolutely no sense when I look back on them. And I've been doing this for about 3 years now, and I thought it would be really interesting to share them with the podcast listeners and viewers. And I must say, I have started writing down accrediting the quotes to the people I'm listening to, because I never really thought I was going to be sharing them when I first started taking them down. So moving forwards, I will write down who said them, where the quote came from, so I can share that with you in the future, because obviously now I can't do that because I just have no clue. And also, sometimes voice text just picks up that the quotes did not make any sense. So it is quite interesting what some of them were all about. But it's going to be really, really fun to share them with you. I put them in my vision board book, which I have been doing for a little while, and I'm trying to decide whether I want to do a vision board book workshop this year or not. And the reason I'm doing this now is because I started writing down all the notes from my phone onto Post-it notes to put into my book. People on the video can see I've been writing them down, and I've got pages and pages of them. She says flicking through. I make them as pretty as possible. I don't have the best handwriting, but that's okay for me. But that is how this came about. And I've put them into little sections so I can just share some of them. I will try and give you my thoughts behind them. And hopefully they're inspiring for you, and they will help you really move forward through 2025, which is what it's all about. So to be successful in freelancing, because it's such a creative field, it's really important that you keep your mindset really, really strong. Our biggest blocks are quite often the ones that we create for ourselves. So the quotes that I am using for this section is, your only limit is you. It's not who you are that holds you back. It's who you think you are that holds you back. I love that. I really do. And you can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. That one is C.S. Lewis. I know that one. So how you see yourself will totally shape your reality. I have a great example. When I first went freelance, I had a really difficult client, and they gave me a brief. I did the shoot. I did everything that they had asked me to do. I got the props and more, but it just wasn't working. And I was getting quite frustrated because I was trying to produce what they had asked for, but they changed it. I'm sure we've all been there. Things change on the day, things move, it's a movable feast. I was starting to think, and this was when I first went freelance. I'd been working in magazines for 9 years at this point, and I'd always been very confident in my styling abilities and what I was doing. This kind of first freelance, well, it wasn't my very first client, it was one of first year I was freelance. And I started questioning what I was doing. So then I literally remember the feeling of walking out of the room going, this isn't working. What am I going to do? So I thought, right, I got into my head a very successful stylist who I admired. And I thought, what would this person do? And I just kept that going over in my head. And I just thought, what would this person do in this situation? How would they style this? How would they get over it? And when you're really, really specific like that, it just kind of, it stops me being nervous, and I just managed to change my thinking. And it wasn't Because it's very easy when they're saying, I don't like this shot, and have you got this prop? And you haven't, because that's not what they've asked for. You're doing a kitchen shot and all of a sudden they're asking for office supplies. I mean, seriously, you could not write this down. So I put it into my head, what would this stylist do in this situation? And I changed my whole, I remember thinking, stand up straighter, be much more confident. You are an experienced stylist. You know what you're doing. Just do what you think this other stylist would do. And then I got the shots, and the rest of the shoot, which was a week-long shoot, went without a hitch. So my mindset completely changed, and my attitude towards the client changed too. I must say I'm much more bolshy now, and I'm much more experienced. So I know how to deal with it. But just that remembering how you feel when you are doing this one shoot and this one person can knock your confidence, essentially, is what it is. And it kind of brings the imposter syndrome in. I just remember that experience of change how you're thinking of the situation. And if you need to take on a different persona and pretend to be someone else, act as if is one of the quotes I've had running through my vision board book for many years. If you just act as if you're confident, act as if you're someone else, act as if you've been doing this for 100 years and you know what you're doing, it changes your mindset, and that really, really helps. There is one other place, and this is another thing, it jumps into my mind every time. There's another place where I experienced this, and it was when I was learning tennis. A group of mums, when my oldest daughter started school, they said, do you want to come and learn tennis with us? And we had like this group coaching, which was brilliant. I loved it. I'm rubbish at it, but I loved it. And I remember if you say to yourself, I'm never going to hit this ball, I'm never going to hit this ball, you never, ever will. If you say, I'm going to hit this ball, you're much more likely to. So the next quotes are about taking action, and it's all good and well to write your goals down, plan everything out, plan your challenges. It's really important. But at some point you have to get going. And the best way to grow when you're a freelancer is by taking action. And even when that is really uncomfortable and it's really scary, we've all been there. Progress isn't about perfection, it's about movement. So the quotes are, nothing changes if nothing changes, which is what this podcast is titled. Because, all right, let's be vulnerable. Let's be really vulnerable. I weigh myself every Sunday because I think, let's just see what's happening. Have I done anything different this week than last week? No, not at all. Do I think, well, I've walked a lot of steps. That'll be all right. I'll be fitter and healthier. No, Emma, you still go to the coffee shop to work and buy an apricot croissants from Nero. They're delicious. So when I get on the scales, nothing's changed because nothing has changed. And I just think it's such a perfect quote. Another one is, slow progress is still progress. It's so important to just move forward. So for me, the slow progress would be just have a coffee. Don't have an apricot croissant every time you go and work in a coffee shop. Maybe you can just going to say, this is really silly. I was just going to say, just have a shot of hazelnut syrup in your coffee instead. No, Emma, nothing changes if nothing changes. That is not progressing. So just coffee. I'm not putting any work relating this to work at all, but you know what I mean. And the last quote is, just start moving. It's easier to change direction when you are moving than when you're static. And that is by Ali Abdaal. I've got quite a lot of Ali Abdaal quotes because he's all about productivity and he's very motivating. His videos on YouTube are fabulous. His podcasts are brilliant, whether they're kind of solo episodes or they're interviews. He's he's fabulous. I love him. Absolutely love him. So we're talking about progress, and for progress to happen, you need to have clarity. And it's not just about thinking about the action. It's really obvious that you need to take action, but sometimes we just say the same thing over and over again. We set the same goal. We don't do anything different, but now we need to really push forwards, approach things differently, make it happen. And you need to just take that first step, no matter how small. The rest will just follow. So let's talk about success and how you set your standards, because freelance isn't just about creativity. You're running a business. You may be one person running an interior styling career or a photography career. That is a business. And it's really interesting how a lot of people who have worked in-house don't see themselves as businesses. They see themselves as a freelancer, a person, but it's a business. And if you want to succeed, you have to set the standards really high for yourself and recognize that your skills are super valuable. So the quotes for this one are, raise your standards and the universe will meet you there. So for this, I always think of, there are some clients that come to you time and time again and you've worked with them and they've got really low budgets, but you think, oh, do you know what? I need this work. I'm just going to stick to this and just do it, even though they pay me half what I really think I'm worth. It's like, no, say no to those people, because you're saying no to them. It opens up space for a better paying client who will appreciate you for what you do. You will be able to get them to come in, and you're raising your standards, and that's when the people will come. The universe will meet you there. Okay, the next quote, I really like this one. This is a new one to me. I really wish I knew who this one was by. I did Google it, but it came up with 3 different people, so obviously everyone is just repeating it. But the quote is, figure out what you want, figure out what the price is, pay the price. So for this, I always think the price can be time, it could be effort, it could be saying no to something in order to say yes to something else. Figure out what you want, figure out what the price is, pay the price. I'm sure that's an Alex Hormozy. And my last quote for this section, you'll get what you deserve, not what you think you deserve. Oh, I remember that. That is one of the earlier quotes that I think I've had that one in my book for a little while. You think you deserve, so I've been an interior stylist for 25 years. I think I deserve to work with a certain brand. Well, no, that's what I think. That doesn't mean I do deserve it. And actually, it's kind of very grounding. I don't think that. I'm just giving you an example. But what we're really talking about here is that you need to set your standards high, charge your worth, and remember that your success is in your hands. You need to make it work. Okay, the next section of quotes I'm going to talk about is, what work should you be doing right now? Now, I hate the word shoulda, coulda, woulda. It's a really bad word for me. I use it all the time, and it's just pressure and guilt and all that sort of stuff. So I'm using it very lightly here. But what is the work you should be? Oh, still saying should. What's the work you need to be doing right now? There we go. Got there in the end. So it is really easy to see yourself as a freelance stylist or writer or assistant. Maybe you're a photographer, but you aren't in a job. You're in a creative career that enables you to be really, really creative. So for that, you need to do the stuff to make the work happen, whether that's making calls, replying to emails, or sharing your work on your portfolio, whether it's on Inside Stylists, on your portfolio website, or on social media. Staying focused on getting work goals done will help you build a business you love and create one that pays the bills. So some of these quotes, I'm telling you, I've got so many quotes, I had to whittle it down to I only did 3 for each section. And this is a really good one. And I've heard it loads. You might have heard it as well. So this quote is, the main thing is to make the main thing the main thing. Whoever came up with that is just genius, because it really is true. It's there's a book called The One Thing, and it's very much about this quote. Concentrate on the one thing that will make the biggest difference in your career right now. So is the thing that's going to make the biggest difference contacting previous clients to make sure that you are remembered or front of mind? Is that the thing that you need to do? Do you need to do test shoots to get your portfolio up? Is that the main thing you need to be doing now? Don't sit on social media, pinning pictures and doing all those things and running around. What is your main goal? What do you need to do? Focus on the main thing. You need to make the main thing the main thing. Genius. Another one that I probably should have plastered on my forehead is consume less, create more. I have an inability to pick up my phone to look at something. I can't tell you, yesterday I was trying to do all this stuff, and every time I picked up my phone to check a date or to check a number, I'd message someone about, actually, this is really silly. I messaged someone through Instagram asking for a contact. So I had to go on Instagram to get that contact. I sat on Instagram for 20 minutes before I realized I was just there to get a number or an email address. Consume less, create more. If you spent a little bit more time, Emma, I'm talking to you. If you spent a little more time creating content rather than consuming content, you would be getting your name out there and your face out there, and people would see what you do, and they would start knowing you for what you are and what you can bring to a feature or a shoot or an event. So consume less, create more. I need to put that on every page, I think. Okay, and the last quote is, don't do what's best, do what's required. These all have a very, they all mean the same thing. And I think you can understand it's the same as the very first quote. Do the thing you need to do to move the needle forward. The next area we're going to talk about is resilience. Freelancing comes with so many setbacks. Clients ghost you, projects fall through, and when the phone doesn't ring, imposter syndrome can really set in. But challenges aren't roadblocks. They are seriously lessons. And I know how that sounds, but it's so true. Don't take anything that's negative as a negative. See it as a think about a way around it and move forward. So the quotes for that are really hard to take on board. For example, the first one is let go of the what ifs. So, for example, I've had an assistant who has emailed lots and lots of magazines asking for work experience, hasn't heard from anyone. And you run it in your head, what if they didn't like me? What if I'm annoying because I've emailed them 3 times now? Just let go of those what ifs. The chances are that editor gets lots of emails and just hasn't got back to you and doesn't reply to those emails because they get so many. They put you in a folder and when they need someone, they have you there. You could be building up a whole scenario that just isn't true. So just let that go. Okay, the next one. This is a quote from Sally Field. I have no idea where it comes from. It must be either she said it on a podcast or someone quoted her in a podcast. And that is, you have to run the race in front of you because that's all there is. It's no good worrying about what's happening over there and what you should be doing over here. Just stay in your own lane. In fact, stay in your own lane is a really good quote, a really good quote. I really like that. And the last quote for this section on resilience is choose your hard. I've got a couple of quotes on choose your hard. Oh, where's this? I've got another one written down here. It's the same as it's choose your hard is the short version. The long version is marriage is hard. Divorce is hard. Choose your hard. Obesity is hard. Being fit is hard. Choose your hard. Life is never going to be easy. Choose your hard. I think that's great. Success in freelance isn't about avoiding the difficult things. It's about pushing through them. It's hard, but success is always on the outside of your comfort zone. I have stepped outside my comfort zone so many times in building Inside Stylists, so many times. I'm doing a video for this podcast. Do you know how hard that is? Actually, that's not so hard now. But when I started doing videos, I hated them. Absolutely hated them. I chose my hard. I pushed through. Okay. All right, let me have a slurp of coffee. I shouldn't make mouth sounds. My daughter absolutely hates mouth sounds. I'm not allowed to do it at all. So if that bothers you, I apologise. Right, the next section is all about productivity and focus. So as a freelancer, your time is your most valuable asset. If you're not intentional about how you spend your time, you will find yourself working long hours without real progress. So here's a really great quote from Jim Rohn. Now, Jim Rohn was a motivational speaker, I suspect, in the maybe 70s or 80s. He has a really quirky voice, and if you ever listen to him, he's really interesting, but he's brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and very, very impressive and very motivational and very inspiring. Inspiring is the word I was looking for. So the quote from him about this section is, it's not the hours you put in, it's what you put into the hours. Do you know what? I'm thinking about all different sections here, but actually they do overlap quite a lot. But yeah, what are you doing with your time? It's not the hours you put in, it's what you put into the hours. Jim Rohn really does know how to put it in because, I mean, if I look back at what I did yesterday, I sat at my desk for a long time, but what did I do with those hours? Did I do a lot of scrolling when I shouldn't have been? Was I sitting writing post-it notes ready for my book? And then I thought, oh, actually, I'm going to go and do a podcast. Oh, actually, this podcast was not supposed to be about the quotes. This was going to be a podcast about what is an interior stylist, because I keep getting asked it. That one's going to get up on the back burner. But I decided that was the wrong thing to do with my hours. The work I was putting into my hours needed to be for this. This just felt more right for the beginning of the year. So you choose what it is that you're doing with your time and stay focused. It's always about being focused, isn't it? Okay, I've got another Ali Abdaal quote now. If I could only spend 2 hours a week working on my business, what would I do that most moves the needle? I love that. It's the same thing. Just stay focused on. Actually, I think there's another quote by him about the same thing. Why am I not doing that? I think that's a shortened version, actually, because I think he was saying that what would you do if you could spend 2 hours on your business, if that's all the time you had? What would you do with those 2 hours? And why are you not doing that every day? That was the quote. I remember that. Obviously it's hit a nerve because I've written it down, and I'm pretty sure I've written it down twice in my notes on my phone. So, and the last quote for this section is, it won't happen by accident. That's a really great reminder, because you're not going to stumble into being a successful stylist or writer. You're not going to stumble into being a successful photographer. You have to make it happen. So you have to go take action. Work smarter, not harder. Focus on what's truly going to move the needle. And if you keep doing that till you get the results, you'll get there in the end. Now, I kind of thought everything was really about focus and reaching your goals and being getting your mindset right. But there's one quote that comes up for me time and time again, and it's all about being yourself. So I've mentioned before how your personal aesthetic can be really key when you're an interior stylist. So if you're really into boho and neutrals, a brand that has that sort of aesthetic will be drawn to you. It's really key to stay true to who you are. And there's one quote that I'm going to leave you with today on this very short podcast is be the sunshine. Now, this comes about because when I was coaching with the coach that I mentioned at the very beginning of this episode, when I was coaching with her, I would say, I think I'm too much for some people. And I am too much for some people. I can be very hyped up on coffee. I can be very bubbly. I do sometimes feel like I'm a 5-year-old kid running around having had a massive sugar rush because I get very overexcited about the silliest little things. And I think I can be a lot. And if you are a quiet, calm person, and then I turn up all happy and sunshiny, it can be quite a lot. And I would quite often say, in fact, you know what? I've been doing coaching with Jen Stanbrook. I'm really excited to join her Formidable Us networking group. It's really, really exciting. It's just about to start. It's looking absolutely stunning. I will put links below to it in case you're interested. But I've been doing coaching with her for probably about, I don't know, something like 5 or 6 months. And sometimes I come to the call and I go, I'm really sorry. Are you ready? She has to brace herself for me to be talk. And the reason I'm saying this is because the original coach said to me, be the sunshine. If you are a bubbly, happy person, be that bubbly, happy person. If people don't like it, they will swipe, they will walk away, they will not spend time in your company. But if you are the right, if the sunshine is what they need, and if you can lift someone's spirit with your sunshine, then be that sunshine. And be the sunshine is really, really key. I think it's one of the focuses I'm doing this year is to just be you. I really think it's important to stay true to who you are. So when you are the sunshine, just be the sunshine. And I think this is really key. I think there's been lots of, to be successful on Instagram, you need to be doing this and you need to be doing that and you should be doing this. And if you want to be a stylist, you need to do that. And I was like, do you know what? This just doesn't feel right to me. I have to do what's right for me, which is why I'm doing these videos, because for me, it feels like that is what is going to build my brand. And I want my brand to be really, really successful. And I'm very focused on it, which is why here's another video podcast coming out, if I'm completely honest, which I truly am. So I'm leaving you with that last quote. Whatever you do, be the sunshine. Try and stay focused and just really, really have a great 2025. The reason this came about was because I started filling out my vision board book workshop, and I wanted to start getting my ideas down. I hadn't done any goal setting and I wanted to do it. And I was kind of like, I'm in an iron on where to start. And I thought, I'm just going to go and watch my own vision board book workshop online, which is on Inside Stylists if you would like to take it up. I can't remember how much it is, but it's not very much. It's, it's a couple of coffees a month and you probably have paid for it. But I'm thinking about running it in person live later on in the year. So leave a comment below if you are interested in taking part in the workshop and understanding in even more detail what these post-it notes are all about. Anyway, I have to run now, taking my daughter to the dentist to have her braces off, because when you're a freelancer, you get to do all that, which is very lucky. I feel very, very, very grateful I'm in that position. So whatever you're doing, have a great day.